What happens when a fax machine saleswoman, a boombox full of cassette tapes, and a backpack of blind faith come together? You get Spanx. But this isn't a story about shapewear. It's about the woman who refused to go into war in business and instead chose joy, intention, intuition, and a red Eastpak backpack as her battle amour. Sara Blakely didn't just rewrite the rules of entrepreneurship. She rewrote her own life. And in doing so, she taught a generation of women to believe in the unseen, the untried, and the radically thing of trying to do it all comfortably. This is Majesty Sussex Report, and I'm Antonio. Thank you for spending some of your valuable time here with us. Welcome. On this soul nurturing final episode of Confessions of a Female Founder, Meghan Sussex welcomes her dear friend, self-made billionaire and inventor of Spanx, Sara Blakely, for a conversation as rich in insight as it is in spirit. It's less than an interview, really, more a masterclass. I know that word is used a lot, but it certainly was, for me anyways, a masterclass in intuition, reinvention, and what happens when you build a business with love, not fear. Sara's story didn't begin in a boardroom. It began in a car, selling fax machines door to door. Her dreams barely audible over the cassette tapes of Wayne Dyer, whose teachings on mindset, manifestation, and the law of attraction would shape her entire approach. After witnessing personal tragedy as a teenager and being handed those tapes by her father, she had a revelation. I've been taught what to think, not how to think. Instead of letting the grief define her, she made a pact with the universe. Not only would she be ready when the idea came, she promised she would not squander it.
How I was approaching business, because I was approaching it very differently than the guys that I love and adore that I got put in a business group, which, by the way, I've been in the same business group. It was called YEO. Now it's called EO. They put me in a forum with 10 men, Megan. So I've been in the same forum with 10 men and me for 25 years, and we meet once a month.
Wow.
And we talk about everything going on in our personal lives and also business. So it's almost like having an informal board. And I've had to go on a vacation once a year with them, with 10 men and me, which you can imagine the looks I've received through the years. But,
Oh my
I
gosh.
say I'm like Jane Goodall, but instead of observing chimpanzees in their natural habitat, I get to observe men in their natural habitat. They totally forget I'm there.
No.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, this is so different than when I hang out with my girlfriends.
Oh my gosh.
They say, Sarah, well, how are you going to handle that? And I'm like, I'm gonna ask the universe for a sign, and I'm gonna get quiet, and I'm gonna spend some time thinking this through. And they all thought I was crazy. And then Meghan, within the first maybe 5 years, Spanx was so successful, it was
Yes.
undeniable that something was going on. And so the guys started really leaning in and going, what's happening with this girl? And one by one, they each privately pulled me aside and said, how do you talk to the universe?
No. Oh my gosh. That's so good. And what did you tell them?
I was like, well, you have to ask, be specific, and get quiet. Find out where you're channeled. I know where I'm channeled. I'm channeled in the car while I'm driving. Where are you channeled? And of course, they're just like, their steam's coming out of their ears. They're like really conservative Georgia businessmen. Like, that could be the governor one day. And they're like, okay, wait, what do I do? I'm like, it needs to be where you daydream. Like, where does your mind wander? And pay really close attention to when your mind wanders, what's coming. And for me, I do make decisions by very specifically asking for a sign. I've been doing that for maybe my whole life. And listening to Wayne Dyer, to get to Wayne Dyer, I started listening to him when I was 16 years old. Mm-hmm. And what happened was I was in high school, Clearwater High, grew up on Clearwater Beach, Florida. And I had a very serious sort of tragedy happen to a friend of mine in front of me. So we were riding bikes. She was run over and killed by a car in front of me, which was obviously very jarring and very upsetting and horrific. And then at about the same time, my dad left home and my parents separated. And when my dad moved out, he handed me the cassette tape series by Wayne Dyer.
For people who aren't familiar with Wayne Dyer, just as I wasn't when you had mentioned it to me, he really is inspirational, affirmational type of train your brain.
Mindset.
2 years after writing in her journal that she wanted to invent something that would make people feel good, Sarah cut the feet out of the control top pantyhose and unknowingly sparked a revolution in women's undergarments. She didn't have a business degree, a trust fund, or a tech accelerator. She had $5,000, a hunch, and a determination not to build a business the way men told her to. As Meghan notes, most people talk themselves out of the dream before they even let themselves imagine it. What sets Sara apart isn't just her billion-dollar evaluation. It's that she built Spanx using what she calls feminine business principles, like intuition, vulnerability, empathy, play. When two men at a party told her, business is war. Business is war. She went home and declared, I am not going to war. I am not going to war. Her business wouldn't be built on fear or conquest. It will be built on joy. This belief wasn't theoretical. It showed up in how she made decisions, going for a drive to hear her intuition, how she marketed her product, laminated photos of her own rear end, and how she led without a formal board for 16 years. Her father played the role of her advisor instead.
Don't let their, Catherine, you point out that many tech executives don't let their own kids have smartphones. So why should we, the public, be paying attention to this? I think that's so interesting.
Well, it's really strange if you think about it. You know, like Thomas Edison didn't tell his own kids, presumably, not to use a light bulb. But here you have some of the major tech executives saying in public that they don't let their own children use their products, like the CEO of TikTok saying he doesn't let his kids on TikTok. Mark Zuckerberg saying to Fox News that he doesn't want his kids to be sitting in front of a TV or a computer for long periods of time. Steve Jobs was famously restrictive about tech use. A lot of these executives send their kids to Montessori or Waldorf schools that have restrictions on technology. So I think those are the people who know their products the best because they make them. They know the things that John and I talk about, you know, like
they're designed to
women,
addict you.
girls who use social media heavily are much more likely to be depressed. You know, they know that there's a huge problem with sexual predation on these platforms. They know that young men who game a lot, that something like 7% of them are at risk of actual addiction. They know these things. They're protecting their own children. So I think that we as adults and parents need to look to them and actually follow their lead.
Sara never raised money. She bootstrapped SPANX from her first month. And while other entrepreneurs high-five over massive VC rounds, she quietly reinvested her profits, expanded slowly, and refused to dilute her vision or herself. Her lucky red backpack carried her through every pitch, including her first sale to Neiman Marcus. That same backpack now hangs on the wall, or hangs on a wall, at SPANX headquarters, framed like a holy relic. Sara's father used to ask her and her brother at dinner, "What did you fail at this week? What did you fail at this week?" Because failure wasn't something to fear. It was proof that you tried. That foundational that foundational belief that led both siblings to create and sell companies in fields they initially knew nothing about. It also gave Sara the courage to say, "I don't know how to make shapewear, but I'll learn. I will learn." After selling a majority stake in SPANX, Sara started Sneaks, a high heel line inspired by sneakers, because women shouldn't have to choose between beauty and pain. When Christian Louboutin once said he didn't want his shoes to be comfortable, Sara took that as a sign. Someone had to care, and that someone would be her. After nearly a decade of failed prototypes, broken partnerships, and factory rejections, Sara thought, "That's it. I'm done. With tears in her eyes, she almost gave up. Then came the breakthrough. I want my heel to feel like my sneakers. And with that, she birthed the world's first sneaker heel hybrid. And yes, it looks like a stiletto, but feels like a sneaker. So I have to I have to tell you folks this before I continue. So this list that you see here, I just spent 30, was it 35 or 40? Okay, let's say 35 minutes. 35 minutes, like going through each one of them and giving examples and this or that and whatever else. And then I finished, not realizing that I thought, oh, I've probably just talked for like 10 minutes or so. I look at the time and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't put all that there. So, so I'm redoing it. This time you're going to get hopefully just like a brief, actually, I may not even give explanations because these are self explanatory. But, anyways, you're getting out the abbreviated version that is not 35 to 40 minutes long. So, seven, not seven. So, yeah, I'm completely thrown off my game now. Um, here are some of the sort of highlights that I heard throughout the episode that I think not only applies to entrepreneurs, it applies to everyone. And it applies, you can take some of this stuff also and apply it even to one's own personal life. So the first one, invest in your mindset before your business plan. Train your thoughts, manifest your worth. You can have the most extraordinary business plan, detailed business plan. But if you don't have the right mindset, it's going to be very hard for it to succeed. Not only for it to succeed, but you're going to end up having, right, consistently problems and challenges being thrown at you. If you're not able to pivot, if you're not able to receive critique a certain way, it's going to be difficult. So have the right mindset as you go in to do anything. As a matter of fact, and I think it's really important. I've it's not until recently I think I've been trying to use that methodology of training your thoughts. So anytime I have something negative coming to my space, to my brain, right? I When I realize, I'm like, okay, hang on, stop. No, no, no. We're not gonna think that. We're not thinking that. We are going to change that around and give it a more positive spin, right? I can go on so much more about this, but next one. Don't fear failure, fear not trying. I'll tell you, folks, this one is hard. It is hard for some people. It's hard for me because as a person who, whatever way I was brought up, whatever my own issues, I always want to do the best I can, and my personality type is to just make sure it's as perfect as I can make it before I hand it over or before I do anything. Which in many ways is not it's not good, right? Um, sometimes I don't do certain things because I'm so fearful about a million things. One of my friends said to me the other day, "Well, why don't you just do it?" And I was like, I don't know, no, nah, no, no, because I'm thinking about everything that can go wrong, and I'm like, nah, no, that's okay. But at the same time, in my head, I'm going, but if it goes right, like, it'll be so great. So if you look at the worst, I guess, right? And I'm not giving you the advice on this one at all. It is there. You have to work on it if you're like me, because I'm working on it. So don't fear failure, fear not trying, which is really, really good advice. Um, Intuition is not irrational. Let me say that again. Intuition is not irrational. It's a sacred GPS. Honor it. Look, we've got this that we have developed through centuries. It's helped us survive because intuition, like from the cave years or times, right? We started to learn, okay, so we can't do this, so we can't do that. Okay, so if this happens and we feel this way, that means that there's danger over there, so maybe we shouldn't go there. Trust in your intuition. It's not mumble jumble, nothing. It's not nonsense. Please, your intuition, because we know people. We know you'll have a meeting with someone, and you went into that meeting feeling light, feeling joyful, feeling good, and you're coming out feeling like the most heavy burden. You feel disgusted. You feel like the energy was not only sucked out of you, was zapped out of you, right? You can see some of them coming from like a mile. That the sort of anger or falsehoods that they say. Let your intuition guide you. That doesn't mean you don't double check things. Double check it, right? But trust in your intuition is there for a reason. Let joy lead. If business feels like war, you're in the wrong battle. So I'm going to caveat. Oops, sorry. I just almost threw the mic over on the other side of the room. I'm going to caveat that a little bit. Some people's personality, that is going to fit perfectly. Like for my personality, lead with joy and all that kind of stuff. I'm bought in. It's who I am, right? I always want to make everyone happy and for us to like work together and all that stuff. Other people, there'll be some people who will look at that and think, what kind of mumble jumble nonsense is this? Right? So for me, anyways, I think that if you are in an environment where you feel supported, where you enjoy the work you do, um, you have goals you want to accomplish and all of that, and you do it with the intention of finding the positive, and when challenges come along, take what you need to take from it, learn what you need to learn from it, and then drive forward, right? So I would say lead with joy, but if that's not you, I don't know what to say, because I've tried this one so many times, and in corporate business world, they will chew you up and spit you out when you show up with like a proposal for like, oh, we should be more empathetic and we should blah blah blah, and this will support like our colleagues that are doing this, and we need to be more mindful about how we send them work to get done because they're under a lot of pressure. No one cares, right? So, but I think we should lead with joy. You don't need permission, you need faith. I'm telling you again, that's something that I've had to work on because I'm a very rule based person. If they say do not walk on the right hand side of the road, walk on the left. Oh, trust me, I'm on the left. If they say blah 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 blah, I'm like, yep, not a problem. Blah 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 blah. There I go. Right, very rule based. So when you tell me to not wait for permission to do something, when I think I need permission to do it, I'll be like, yeah, I don't know about that. But here's my but. there's been such a dramatic change in my mentality in regards to that. In regards to, and I've only developed it within the last maybe not even 2 years, because I've seen, I've lived, I've suffered, I've got the scars of what has happened when I've waited for permission, thinking I needed it. Also, people telling me I needed it. But when I look now at the broader picture and I include things like race, racism, all of the isms and all the things that are wrong in our society, I go, okay, I see now. Because I've had people say, no, I think you need to like wait and get permission to do this or to do that. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna make sure I build a good case and make sure blah blah, waiting for permission. While the person who I told the idea to and everything else, 2 weeks later, there was a meeting and they're in charge of this new initiative. And they're being praised for something that I had proposed or was going to propose, right? So don't wait for permission. Just do it, man. Just do it. Um, Bootstrapping builds roots. Fast money can't buy resilience. I agree with that 100%. I I'm thinking whether I should tell this example or not, but I mean it's an iffy one. But I think about the kids, right? I have I've seen disrespect to parents that I couldn't even fantasize about, to be quite honest. And these parents who have cuddled their children and given them everything, and then there are these ungrateful, entitled people. I'll tell you, I never, there wasn't anything that, if we needed it, that wasn't provided. But one of the things that I really appreciated that my parents always did was let us understand the value of what either we were asking for or what was being given to us, and have a clear understanding that someone's time went into paying for that thing, right? So, because it's your time, we sell our time, our expertise and all that, but it's our time we sell in order to then get paid for our time. And then we take that and we purchase things with it. So I was very conscious, like if I wanted I wasn't a kid that wanted a lot of things. Give me my Lego set and I'll be happy for the next 10 years. So I understood that if I was asking for something that was, I don't know, $200 or something, I knew that that was time that my dad at the time, my dad would have to, right? Whether it's time away from us or time, whatever. I understood it the way I understood it, and appreciated the things that were able to be given. So if you have a business that you're trying to protect against everything and you're not building resilience, you're not building a team that is able to tackle difficult questions or difficult things, then you're going to be frazzled and not effective most of the times. This last one is like my favorite one, and I can't wait. So the feminine is not soft. It's strong, strategic, and overdue in every boardroom. And I couldn't agree more with that. Couldn't agree more with that. And I'll give this last thing, and then I'm going to shush. Well, I'm not going to shush, but you know what I mean. God, God looked at man and at woman and said, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to give childbirth to the women because if I give it to the men, this species is going to disappear very quickly. I'm not joking. Have you seen grown men how they behave at the slightest little like pain or the slightest little thing? I'm like, come on, buddy, like suck it up a little. And I mean, it's a miracle. It's a miracle that women still decide, yeah, I want to have children. A miracle. As Prince Harry said, I don't know how women do it, but I'm happy they do, right? The feminine is so lacking in the way business is done and the way we care. Like you call any call center these days and you're trying to, I mean, if you start the calling, you're being polite, of course. I'm not saying call a call center and you're yelling at the person as soon as they come on. But you're just like one roadblock after another, and you're going, okay, but this makes no sense. I had a situation not too long ago where, so I called them and I said, okay, I said, why is this fee on my invoice? Excuse me. Oh, well, because of this, blah blah blah, and we had to charge you shipping. I said, yeah, but that situation is your problem. I said, you folks had a supply situation. I was told, no worries, hang on. As soon as like whatever, we will get it all shipped out to you. And now you're telling me that that was a promo, and because my items were shipped out later, I have to pay the $50 for this delivery. I said, how make let that make sense to me. I said, please explain it because I purchased this stuff within the time. I'll tell you, I didn't get far. It was just very like no, no, no. And I said, listen, I'm very calm, right? And I said, listen, I've been trying throughout our conversation to appeal to common sense, appeal to our human understanding of what is right, what is wrong. I said, if this had happened to you, and I'm not blaming you for anything, you're doing your job. It's the institution, right? I said, but if this had happened to you, would you say that was right? That was fair? Right? And the person's like, well, it doesn't seem that it's fair, but I'm just telling you. I said, no, I get it. I said, I just want us to have this conversation. I said, because I'm not blaming you for anything. You're there doing your job. I'm telling you that it's frustrating for moi, the client, because and you as an employee, right? You can elevate a situation. You can tell your superiors, listen, this is not a right policy. I ended up writing them a letter. Well, I sent them an email, and I got a credit on my invoice. So, oh well. Anyways, I love that one. Sarah didn't just build a $1 billion brand. She created a new model of entrepreneurship, one grounded in self awareness, spiritual listening, and unapologetic womanhood. She built with heart, marketed with vulnerability, and walked into every room with color, kindness, and conviction. In a world still trying to force women into battles they never asked to fight, Sarah showed us another way. She didn't go to war, she went to work. And that's the kind of founder we need more of, and the kind of stories that inspire us all. It liberates. It liberates. As we close out this remarkable first season of Confessions of a Female Founder with Meghan, we look back at the powerful journeys of seven extraordinary women: Whitney Wolfe Herd, Rishma Saujani, Katie Lee, Jamie Kern Lima, Hannah Mendoza, Cassandra Morales Thornwell, and Sara Blakely. Each of these remarkable entrepreneurs have shared not just their successes, but the deeply human struggles and triumphs spirit behind their brand. Whitney Wolfe Herd reminded us of the courage it takes to rewrite your narrative and transform rejection into a $1 billion brand built on respect and empowerment. Rishma Saujani showed us that strength isn't just about resilience, it's also about vulnerability, giving voice to millions of young women who dare to break barriers through coding. Katie Lee beautifully articulated that business at its core is about creating safe spaces where beauty and integrity coexist. Jamie Kern Lima moved us profoundly by teaching that rejection is simply the universe's way of rerouting you towards a bigger purpose. Hannah Mendoza brought clarity to the idea that wellness isn't a trend, it's an intentional, soulful practice. Cassandra Morales Thornwell taught us the power of building slowly and intentionally, turning handmade passion into a thriving global brand. And Sara Blakely closed the season by redefining success itself, proving that business can indeed strive on institution, proving that business can strive on intuition, joy, and the sacred power of believing deeply in oneself. Throughout this journey, Meghan has masterfully guided conversations with warmth, authenticity, and rare intimacy, connecting with each guest not simply as a host, but as a friend, confidant, and ally. In an era often defined by surface level dialogue and fleeting trends, Meghan has gifted us genuine conversations that hold space for laughter, tears, and profound wisdom. Yet, amidst the beauty and brilliance of this season, we acknowledge the relentless and unjust battle waged by elements within the UK media landscape, especially outlets like Talk TV and various print and digital tabloids, who seem determined to undermine Meghan and anything associated with the Sussexes. The wave of social media trolls flooding comment section with negativity and unwarranted criticism is both predictable and deeply troubling. Their attempts to diminish, silence, or distort cannot erase the authentic impact of these meaningful stories. It's crucial to all, to all of us, to call out these cynical tactics clearly and directly, because silence only embolden the bullies. Despite these obstacles, the inspiring, authentic voices of these women, guided thoughtfully by Meghan, rise above the noise, reaching and empowering millions worldwide. The negativity from those who seek to harm cannot match the powerful resonance of genuine stories told by brave, innovative, and compassionate leaders. As we conclude this season, we look forward with great anticipation to season two. Together, we remain committed to amplifying voices of courage, compassion, and conviction, celebrating female founders who dare not only to dream, but to transform dreams into realities. Thank you for joining us on this extraordinary journey. Stay inspired, keep believing, and remember your voice matters, your story matters, and no negativity can overshadow the power of authenticity, bravery, and purpose. Well, my beautiful people, here we are. This is the end. And now I must say goodbye to everyone and good night or good day or whenever you're listening or watching this. And I am still not feeling well. But anyways, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching this. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I don't know, touch buttons and do things and make things happen, and let's make the world a better place. Be kind to yourself. Love you all. Bye for now. you.